Good morning, world. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker, and today is Friday, April 8th, 2025. Coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, East Coast of the United States. The weather in this area today is a mix of sun and clouds, highs in the upper 80s and lows in the upper 60s. NASA explores putting nuclear reactor on the moon. That was a video and it failed to play. I was really interested in that one. Grass pollen decreasing tomorrow. Temperature is almost the same as yesterday in this area, up by 2 degrees. Coming from the National Hurricane Center is watching multiple areas for possible tropical development into next week, involving the East Coast, Central Atlantic, and the coast of Africa into the Caribbean, causing storms to occur as early as this coming Friday or the weekend of the 16th and the 17th. The next tropical storms in the Atlantic Basin will be named Erin and then Fernand. Not Fernando, but Fernand. Activities currently that are weather is good for. Running is good. Cycling is fair. And gardening is good currently. And it's a little bit after 10 a.m. here on the East Coast. The AQI is good at 33. The UV is moderate. Humidity is at 70%. And there's a light breeze at 3 miles per hour currently. Today, sunrise was at 6:47 a.m. and sunset will be at 8:39 p.m. Currently, from the State Department, there's a travel advisory for Haiti, a level 4, which is the maximum. Do not travel. Do not travel due to gang unrest and dangerous conditions. In Haiti, there is a do not travel advisory issued. Guilford fires near 100,000 acres in California, and in Hawaii, Haluma'uma'u eruption started Wednesday morning. The reason it's being mentioned this way is because usually when a volcano erupts, there's a couple of days when there's no activity, and then something else will happen. But in this case, it has been continuous. Hawaii. Excuse me. In the news today, for Friday, August 8th, 2025, let me finish her. Mom begged son to let her keep hitting 6-year-old in head with hammer, indicted on multiple felonies. This occurred here in Kentucky. I'll draw it up here for you. Internet is showing a mind of its own here. So let's try this again. It's buffering, as they say, when it comes to internet services. Okay, now we have a little something going on. And we have the stories accessible. Still buffering, folks. Just bear with me a little bit, please. Again, the headlines to the first story is "Let Me Finish Her." Mom who begs son to let her keep hitting 6-year-old in head with hammer, indicted on multiple felonies. A 40-year-old mother in Kentucky has been indicted for allegedly trying to beat her 6-year-old daughter to death with a hammer, repeatedly striking the child in the head with the tool in front of the victim's sibling. A grand jury in Jefferson County on Tuesday returned a true bill indicting Zainab Abdi on 1 count each of criminal attempted murder, first-degree assault, and first-degree criminal abuse of a victim under age 12 for the June attack that left the victim in critical condition, Jefferson County Commonwealth Attorney Jarena D. Withers announced. Abdi had previously appeared in court for arraignment on June 20, where she pleaded not guilty to charges of attempted murder and domestic violence. According to a post-arrest complaint previously obtained by Law and Crime, officers with the Louisville Metro Police Department's 2nd Division at about 12:49 p.m. on Thursday, June 19, responded to a trouble run at a residence in the 2900 block of Wilson Avenue. Police were told that a child had been struck in the head with a hammer by her mother. Upon arriving at the address, first responders said they discovered a 6-year-old girl inside the home who was down and suffering from blunt force injuries to her head. Authorities said she has sustained multiple skull fractures and brain bleeds. Emergency medical personnel transported the victim, who has not been identified by authorities, to Norton Children's Hospital for treatment, where she was admitted in critical condition. Due to the nature of the child's injuries, the department's homicide unit responded to the scene and took over the investigation. Abdi was subsequently taken to custody in connection with the alleged attack on her daughter. During a post-Miranda statement, the listed suspect, Abdi, stated she frequently becomes extremely angry and has difficulty controlling herself, police wrote in the complaint. She stated today she became overly angry and struck the victim in the head with a hammer an unknown amount of times. Abdi's son, whose name and age were not disclosed, provided a similar account of the harrowing attack on his sister. During an interview with the listed suspect's son, he stated while restraining her after the assault, she stated to him, "Let me finish her," while attempting to return to the victim, the document states. A police spokesperson told Lexington, Kentucky Fox affiliate WDKY that the victim was released from the hospital this week and is staying with family. Several neighbors who spoke to Louisville CBS affiliate WLKY after the incident said they were shocked about the allegations. "I think it's just terrible," neighbor Donald Edson told the station. "I don't know what type of pressure the child's mother's under for her to do something like that." Brittany Lindell, who also lives in the area, told WLKY that news of the attack gave her cold chills, calling it disgusting. "I don't understand how someone could get to that point of anger," she said, adding, "especially with an innocent child." Abdi remains in the Louisville Metro Detention Center on bond of $500,000. She is currently scheduled to appear in court to be arraigned on the indictment in Jefferson County Circuit Court on Monday morning. Fat Joe speaks out about the Hip Hop Awards and Soul Train Awards being suspended. This is a form of gentrification. Let me pull it up for you. BET is officially putting the brakes on both the Soul Train Awards and the BET Hip Hop Awards. And Fat Joe is calling it like he sees it. This is a form of gentrification. Fat Joe, for all of y'all that are familiar. The Bronx icon didn't hold back during a candid convo with Jada Kiss on their podcast. He's been hosting the BET Hip Hop Awards for the last 3 years and said he's seen the signs coming. Joe believes the downfall started back in 2001 when BET founder Robert Johnson sold the black-owned network to Viacom for a jaw-dropping $3 billion. That moment, according to him, was when things started spiraling. Outspoken people started getting fired, budgets got smaller, and the soul of BET slowly started to fade. Joe points to MTV VMAs as proof BET Awards are undervalued. Fat Joe gave a side-by-side that was hard to ignore. He brought up the 2024 MTV VMAs, where Katy Perry's performance was clearly a high-budget production. But when it came to the BET Hip Hop Awards, ratchet, Joe said straight up, making it clear there was a major difference in how the culture gets treated, even on its own turf. He made the point that hip-hop, a genre birthed and built by black and brown voices, should never have to beg for proper representation, especially from a network that claims to stand for culture. When TMZ reached out to BET about Joe's comments, CEO Scott Mills told Billboard the shows aren't gone for good, just pause for now. While BET is still trying to figure it out, MTV is full steam ahead. The 2025 MTV Video Music Awards are locked in for September 7 in New York City.
You at 6 were learning more about.
Excuse me.
You at 6 were learning more about.
This was a video, and sometimes it plays and sometimes it doesn't. But it says, man charged in connection with disappearance of 2 teens had exercise license suspended. A while back, if this is the same thing, there were 2 teenagers aged 15 and 16 that were apprehended by another teenager, and they disappeared. And then later, through investigation, it was discovered that they had been murdered. This exercise rider license is something that I was unfamiliar with, and it was the first time hearing about it, even though Kentucky is the horse capital of the world, Lexington in particular. So it's an exercise rider's license is required for individuals who exercise horses during morning training sessions at racetracks or training facilities. So the purpose of the license ensures that exercise rider possesses the necessary skills and knowledge to safely and effectively train and condition racehorses. They also relay crucial information about the horse's fitness and attitude to the trainer. So it's different than having a jockey license. Requirements are somewhat similar. Sometimes exercise people move up to being jockeys. Sometimes jockeys move back to being exercise people. It all depends on what their focus is. So I just want to kind of add that in there. Thousands of people are thinking the same thing after the Trump administration said that teenagers are now eligible to be ICE agents. I assume we're all just a little too familiar with Kristi Noem by this point. Kristi Noem. She is the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary under President Donald Trump and has been committed to helping him carry out his mass deportation goals during his second term. Noem has celebrated the openings of new immigration detention facilities like Alligator Alcatraz and the Speedway Slammer, and shown up to cosplay as an ICE agent conducting raids in Los Angeles. Noem recently hopped on Fox News to promote recruitment for ICE, and at the end, she shared that the age requirements to become an agent were changing. We've removed any of the age barriers. We no longer have a cap on how old you can be, or you can continue at age 18. She told Lawrence B. Jones on a segment of Fox and Friends. Sign up for ICE and join us and be a part of it. We'll get you trained and ready to be equipped to go out on the streets and help protect families. Newsweek wrote an article about Noem's announcement, also reporting that to lure candidates, ICE is offering incentives including signing bonuses of up to $50,000, student loan forgiveness, enhanced retirement benefits, and extensive overtime opportunities. The outlet later posted a story to the r/politics subreddit where thousands of people reacted and commented. People had some choice words, including dozens of comparisons to the youth wing of the Nazi Party, which sought to indoctrinate young Germans. Here's what some commentators had to say. Folks, people are using profanity, so I'm letting you know right now before we even get to that part. First one, the restart of Hitler Youth. Yeah, give an 18-year-old a gun and a badge, nothing will possibly go wrong. These baby agents are going to end up shooting themselves or other officers in a panic. Already here, ICE is his SS. Wow, $50,000 signing bonus for hired thugs, but $0 for teachers and first responders. Priorities. Does it come with knives, scout uniforms with lederhosen, and a bright red armband? Straight from Gestapo to Trumpler Youth, textbook stuff. Trump's version of Hitler's youth in brown shirts. Trump's youth has a terrible ring to it. Also, a teen should not be given that type of power. Allow them to walk around holding loaded rifles and allow them to kidnap people based on skin color. FSS, Trump, no one should be allowed to do that. I mean, most of the existing agents behave like teenagers, so this makes sense. Some kid is going to get shot or seriously hurt from this. Oh, so student loan forgiveness is okay as long as you're a Nazi. Got it. Dictators love kids. Witness when Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge would take skilled workers, have them train a kid to do the job, then execute the worker. Children are much more malleable. Thanks, protest voters in MAGA. Great job causing this. Sign up to be a huge POS. Fuck that. He's practically begging people to join. Huge signing bonus, student loan forgiveness. Now child labor is needed because so many people don't want to participate in his Nazi bullshit. He saw the Gen Z white voting demographic and lowered the age. Brainwashed the 18-year-old youth, old military trick. Nazi youth coming your way every day, another dumbass thing. If you don't trust teens to drink, should you trust them to making armed arrests? Incel collection establishment. Oh, this shouldn't cause any problems whatsoever. Kyle Rittenhouse's running around everywhere. Yep. Teenage boys most certainly have the mental acumen for it. I hate this timeline. And finally, yes, the reintroduction of the Hitler Youth. It was only a matter of time. Candace Owens claimed Donald Trump would pardon Ghislaine Maxwell because he implicated himself by being deceitful. Candace Owens strongly suggested President Donald Trump will be pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell from her remaining 17-year sentence after being convicted on 5 of 6 counts in 2022. The right-wing podcaster said people would be foolish to think Trump wouldn't extend a pardon to Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, whom the president has been linked to in resurfaced photos from the early 2000s. Trump is implicated by a sheer deceit right now in this moment, Owens explained. He's being so deceitful, it's incredible, and seems to only be getting worse because now they keep pretending they're trying to get to the bottom of everything, but they don't actually get to the bottom of everything. They actually seem just to be covering things up. They're making moves that only reveal a deeper cover-up. After meeting with Deputy Attorney General Tony Blanche in July for 2 days of private questioning, Maxwell, who denied her right to plead the Fifth Amendment with Blanche, was moved to a new prison. The facility, Federal Prison Camp Bryan in Texas, is allegedly so lenient that it's been dubbed Club Fed. During her broadcast on Wednesday, August 6, Owens noted how Maxwell was already in a low-security prison before she was moved to an even lower security prison. She then referred to a clip of Trump claiming he had no idea Maxwell would be relocating. Owens said the best part of Trump's remarks about not knowing his former acquaintance was given special treatment was that while explaining himself to reporters, he claimed Blanche probably wants to make sure that people should not be involved or uninvolved or not hurt by something, adding it would be very, very unfortunate and very unfair to a lot of people. The podcaster pointed out how the president keeps saying that, stating how the obvious reason why he has consistently defended the Epstein files from being released to the public is because he doesn't want to hurt his reputation and fears others may turn on him. He himself and other people around him will be implicated, and that's the real reason, Owens explained. That's actually him being honest, like Todd Blanche's job is to go there to make sure that unfair things don't happen to people that could get swept up in this. And if you're Todd Blanche, how do you do that? Owens' claims aren't far-fetched either. In July, Trump was directly questioned if he'd give Maxwell a pardon. He responded by saying, "It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something I'm allowed to do, but it's something I've not thought about." The View's Joy Bear says it's obvious the Trump admin is turning away refugees because they're not white. The ladies of The View got into a heated discussion after Sonny Houston raised a topic that she felt they were not talking enough about regarding Donald Trump's recent decision to accept 59 white South African refugees into the country while reportedly denying the same status to refugees from other countries such as Haiti and Afghanistan. The fact that Afghan refugees, people who helped us during the Afghanistan war, helped us and protected our troops, that program has been dismissed. Haitians that are truly refugees, they have been denied that status, she said, while Joy Bayer prodded Houston to share what was really on her mind, asking, "So what do you think is the bottom line, Sonny?" Houston fell comically silent for an awkward beat as she hesitated to express how she really felt about the topic. But later in the conversation, as Elisa Fair Griffin agreed with Houston's points and said America was betraying the Afghan people by denying the refugee status for those in need, Baer pointedly called out the Trump administration for why they were not as accepting toward refugees from other countries. "They're not white people. That's why they don't want them in here," Baer boldly claimed on the show. "It's obvious." Houston seemed to agree as she added, "She said it, I didn't." Baer made her opinion on the Trump administration very clear during that Hot Topic segment, in which they also discussed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Kristi Noem's lackluster appearances during their respective committee hearings this week. Houston called Noem out directly after seeing footage from her tense House Homeland Security Committee hearing. Having Kristi Noem be in charge of Homeland Security in and of itself is an insult. Baer kept her words to herself, but she loudly growled at the mention of Noem's name, prompting laughter from the audience. A black student at Smith College was called to the police while eating lunch. Nearly 7 years later, the ripples still remain. In the heat of summer 2018, Aumu Kanute, a rising sophomore at Smith College and a teaching assistant in STEM outreach, sat quietly in a key card locked dorm lounge. She was eating a sandwich, and without a word, a campus employee called the police, claiming Kanute seemed out of place. The responding officer quickly confirmed she was a student and deemed there was no threat. "All clear," he reported, according to CBS News and the Washington Post, but the emotional fallout was anything but harmless. Kanute later revealed the impact in her own words. "I have to check my closet at night. I'm terrified in my own room. I can't sleep or eat. All I did was be black." President Catherine McCartney issued an apology and launched an external investigation by the Sanghavi Law Office. She also mandated anti-bias training and diversity workshops and promised broader inclusionary reforms. By October 2018, the independent investigation cleared the staff of policy violations, citing plausible non-discriminatory reasons for the call, leaving some divided over whether implicit bias had been adequately addressed. The ACLU, respecting Kanute, noted that the college's policies were abysmal when it came to addressing racial profiling, even if no specific rule had been broken. The ACLU's advocacy led to sweeping institutional reforms, protocols for when campus staff should call the police, emphasis on respectful dialogue, and bias-informed training for dispatchers and officers. Meanwhile, the college launched an Inclusion and Diversity Conference, sought to foster restorative justice dialogues, and formed white accountability groups to reflect on structural bias, though not without criticism over the emotional toll these trainings placed on service workers. The repercussions reached far beyond Aumu herself. The janitor and cafeteria worker involved were thrust into public scrutiny. One was placed on leave, another reassigned, reducing their private lives to a public controversy. Dozens of black intellectuals later called for Smith to apologize and compensate the workers who were collateral damage in this racial reckoning. For black and brown women across U.S. campuses, Kanote's experience is far from singular. It resonates deeply. While policy changes at Smith signal progress, the emotional burden of living while black lingers. There's a sobering reality that even today, implicit bias can eclipse credentials, silence voices, and shake foundational beliefs about belonging. This is a story for you who know that belonging shouldn't be a privilege, not at school, not anywhere. And though nearly 7 years have passed since Kanote's lunch became national news, her courage still speaks to the work still undone. I'm the best player in the world and I have to go to a communist country. Diana Taurasi on having to play in Russia because she wasn't earning enough in the WNBA. Diana Taurasi is considered by many to be the women's basketball GOAT. But for all of her greatness, accomplishments, and accolades, she suffered the same fate as every other WNBA player in the past and today, feeling underpaid. The salary in the WNBA was so low back then that players had to augment their income by playing overseas during the off-season. Taurasi was a great player, but she was no exception to the rule. From 2005 to 2017, she spent her off-seasons playing abroad, mostly in the Russian league. I'm the best player in the world and I have to go to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist, Taurasi said during a teaser for the 3-part series documentary on her career entitled Taurasi.
Best player in the world, and I have to go to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist.
Playing in Europe during the
I'm the best player in the world, and I have to go to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist.
Playing in Europe during the WNBA's off-season. These women were going for 7 or 8 months. They were chasing their value.
One time I came back and I was like, man, my parents have just gotten older, and I've missed a big part of it. We weren't making that much money, so generational wealth was coming from going to Russia every year. Now we have to come back home and get paid nothing to play in a harder league in worse conditions against the best competition in the world. The fucking janitor at the arena made more than me. I'm the best player in the world, and I have to go to a...
Excuse me, folks. The article continues, and that is currently available on streaming service, Taurasi. Diana's salary in Russia was 15 times what she made in the WNBA. Taurasi was the number 1 overall pick of the Phoenix Mercury in the 2004 WNBA draft after a standout college career where she won 3 straight NCAA women's titles for UConn. However, despite her credentials, her rookie salary was a mere $42,000 per season. Even after Diana won 3 WNBA titles, 2 finals MVPs, 1 regular season MVP, and 9 all WNBA first team honors by 2014, the salary was at $107,000 per season, which was already the max deal in the league during that period. In contrast, she made $1.5 million per season playing for UMMC Ekaterinburg in the Russian Premier League. Not only did she get a salary 15 times higher than what she earned from her main job in the WNBA, but Taurasi and other American stars in Russia also got royal treatment as they flew on chartered planes and traveled to beautiful places. Well, while playing in Russia was worth the time, players had to battle with loneliness and homesickness. Taurasi also missed her parents and realized she spent more time away from them than with them. That was already quoted in the video. If that were truly the case, perhaps she should have joined the janitorial staff instead of choosing to complain about getting paid to play the game she loved. Talking about the janitor was making more than her. Taurasi retired after the 2024 NBA season, and according to SportTech, she made $1.385 million from 2017 to 2024, including $234,936 per season in 2023 and 2024, which, while it was an upgrade from what she had made during her first decade in the league, was still low compared to what she would have made if she had played overseas. 1 year after Taurasi retired, WNBA players still feel that they aren't paid enough, which is why they're asking for a raise in their current CBA negotiations. It's also the reason why the 2025 WNBA All-Star players wore "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts during their All-Star game warm-ups. Currently, the smallest rookie scale contract in the league is $285,136 for 4 years, or an average of $71,284 per year. Meanwhile, the Supermax is valued at $249,244 per year, and the regular max is $214,466 for the 2025-2026 campaign. For sample purposes, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark's 4-year deal signed last year was valued at $388,056, and she will make only $78,066 this year. But at least Cece or Angel Reese have not been forced to go overseas like Taurasi did. Trevor Lawrence makes it clear that he's not happy about the Jacksonville Jaguars' plan for two-way superstar Travis Hunter. Trevor Lawrence. Look, Trevor Lawrence isn't mad, but let's just say if Travis Hunter ends up playing more defense and offense this season, the Jaguars quarterback might have a few things to say. Hunter, the number 2 overall pick in 2025, is listed as a starting wide receiver and a backup cornerback on the Jaguars' first unofficial depth chart. Yes, both, just like college. But while the team plays it cool on how they'll use him, Lawrence made his preference clear. He's so talented, it's hard to keep him off the field, Lawrence said. Selfishly, I definitely want him on offense more. Trevor Lawrence wants his guy catching touchdowns, not breaking them up. Travis Hunter. The Jaguars coaching staff continues to split Hunter's training camp reps between receiver and corner. On paper, it makes sense. The former Colorado star dominated on both sides in college, but this isn't the Pac-12 anymore. Jacksonville needs help on offense. Last year, they tied for the 3rd fewest passing touchdown in the league with just 19. They finished 4-13 and missed the playoffs again. And Lawrence knows Hunter can change that. I told him, do you want to catch touchdown or do you want to maybe break up a pass or two? That's a decision you have to make, Lawrence joked. He'll make plays wherever he is, but obviously as a quarterback, I hope he plays more on offense. Hunter has already turned heads in camp with his speed and route running. Lawrence hasn't worked with him for long, but he's seen enough to know Hunter can be a weapon. He'll make us better, Lawrence said. Wherever he plays to make us better, I'm all for whatever that is. But yeah, catching touchdowns helps. As for the bigger picture, Trevor Lawrence believes the Jaguars can get back into the playoff hunt, but he didn't sugarcoat it. You've got to go prove it on Sundays this fall. It doesn't really matter what I say, but I feel very confident in this team. The first test comes on September 7th at home against the Carolina Panthers. And when that ball kicks off, don't be surprised if Lawrence looks for number 12 early and often. Offset slings not so subtle shade at unseasoned Stephon Diggs amid Cardi B romance, claims his exes have never upgraded. Cardi B and Offset. The Ric Flair drip rapper made an appearance on the Joe Budden podcast this week, where he chimed in on the host conversation about cheating up and down. Even though the Migos member was allegedly the one doing all the cheating in his last relationship, Budden asked Offset which hurts worse, having your partner cheat with someone more or less attractive than you. That's when Offset made a comment that certainly seems like shade toward his estranged wife, Cardi B, insisting nobody he's been with has ever moved on to someone better. No one that I left went up, so I don't have that experience, Offset replied, sparking applause from podcast host. He continued, I'm Timothy Jones, so like every situation I've ever seen go on didn't work out. It's like the unseasoned version. I ain't never seen no upward where I'm like, damn. While he tiptoed around the topic, all the shots thrown back and forth between Offset and Cardi's new man, Stephon Diggs, certainly make it seem like that's who the rapper was referencing with his comments. The Migos rapper was also asked to share his thoughts on his estranged wife's new song, Outside, which many think is a diss track directed at him. I actually knew about the song before the song came out, like prior to the BS that was happening. If it is Stuff At Me, he said, everything is a timing thing. That record's been done. I know about the record. It looked like how it looked. Offset was also asked whether or not he plans to address the breakup and all the surrounding drama on his upcoming album, Carrie, which is slated for release on August 22. The shots, I ain't doing that, he claimed. I might speak on life situations, but I'm not doing that. That ain't the way to do it. There's too much involved, family, kids. That SHIT going to be lame 10 years from now. I ain't on that, but I'll be expressing some feelings of how I feel about certain things. And that concludes the headlines for today, August 8, 2025, Friday. Top stories. Excuse me. Trump White House celebrates latest chapter of wins at 200-day mark. President Donald Trump notched his 200th day back in office Thursday, with the administration celebrating a lengthy list of wins across its latest chapter of actions and policies unfolding at a breakneck pace. In just 200 days, President Trump has turned America into the hottest country in the world, White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers told Fox News Digital. Under Joe Biden's failed leadership, families and businesses were struggling and America was dead. President Trump has quickly restored American greatness. The historic trade deals and peace deals he secured on behalf of the American people made President Trump's second 100 days just as successful as the first. Trump hit his 100th day on his second administration in April, which included operating at warp speed as Trump signed dozens of executive orders, leveled harsh tariffs on foreign nations, bring parity to the U.S. trade deficit, negotiated with foreign nations to work to end wars, unveiled the Department of Government Efficiency to investigate the federal government for potential mismanagement and fraud, locked down the U.S. border with Mexico, and continued an overhaul of the federal government so it falls in line with the admin's American First policies. The first 100 days of a new administration commonly has been viewed as a symbolic benchmark to measure a president's early successes. A White House official told Fox Digital that Trump's measure of success was not only seen in the first 100 days, but also in the time frame between the 100th day and August 7, the 200th day. The White House touted that the administration across the board has seen big wins involving immigration, the economy and trade, education, foreign policy, bilateral meetings, strides in the AI race, unleashing energy initiatives, and releasing bombshell details on the Russia hots from the Obama era in the first 100 days. The president secured a massive win ahead of the 4th of July when Republican lawmakers in Washington passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which Trump touted as securing big tax cuts that will make the U.S. economy similar to a rocket ship as Americans begin feeling its effects. House and Senate Republicans delivered the legislation to Trump's desk in July after a hard-fought battle that included a handful of Republicans joining Democrats in their condemnation of the bill, mostly over its increase to the debt limit. The bill includes key provisions to permanently establish individual and business tax breaks included in Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and incorporates new tax deductions to cut duties on tips and overtime pay. It also rescinds certain Biden-era green energy tax credits, allocates approximately $350 billion for defense and Trump's mass deportation efforts, and institutes Medicaid reforms. We have officially made the Trump's tax cuts permanent, Trump said during the July signing ceremony. That's the largest tax cut in the history of our country. After this kicks in, our country is going to be a rocket ship economically. We've delivered no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. It makes the child tax credit permanent for 40 million American families. The golden age of America is upon us. On the economic front, in the last 100 days, the U.S. economy grew at a 3.0% pace in the second quarter, which shattered forecasters' predictions. Trump secured trade deals with nations such as South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines, and the European Union. While businesses such as drug maker AstraZeneca, car maker Rolls-Royce, and various tech companies pledging millions in investments in the U.S. Trump celebrated ahead of his inauguration that the golden age of America would unfold under his leadership, which has been a common theme across his past 200 days. At the forefront of Trump's golden age plan of action has not only involved leveling tariffs on foreign nations, but also unleashing artificial intelligence and energy incentives. From this day forward, it'll be a policy of the United States to do whatever it takes to lead the world in artificial intelligence, Trump said in July when he signed a trio of executive orders aimed at boosting the country's artificial intelligence capabilities. The Trump administration rolled out its AI action plan in July, after Trump ordered the federal government in January to develop a plan of action for artificial intelligence in order to solidify our position as a global leader in AI and secure a brighter future for all Americans. The AI Action Plan includes a three-pillar approach focused on American workers, free speech, and protecting U.S.-built technologies. The Trump administration has notched massive wins in the artificial intelligence race in recent days, which pits the U.S. against China to develop the most high-tech artificial intelligence systems. Oracle and OpenAI, for example, announced in July that the companies will further develop the Stargate project, which is an effort to launch large data centers in the U.S. The two companies' most recent announcement promises an additional 4.5 gigawatts of Stargate data center capacity, a move expected to create more than 100,000 jobs across operations, construction, and indirect roles such as manufacturing and local services. While the U.S. General Services Administration announced on Wednesday that OpenAI's ChatGPT enterprise is now available to all federal agencies to incorporate into their workflow at $1 per agency, the GSA told Fox Digital. The deal with OpenAI, the tech company behind ChatGPT, is part of GSA's OneGov strategy that aims to modernize how the federal government purchases goods and services under the Trump administration. While the AI race hits new levels, Trump has also cut red tape surrounding the energy sector, which is vital to the growth of AI and the tech sector. Energy companies in the past 100 days have pledged billions to upgrade nuclear plants and modernize gas pipelines, while the administration celebrated the July opening of the newest coal plant in Wyoming in decades, as well as Trump signing a multi-decade agreement to increase natural gas exports to Europe. On the domestic political front, the Trump administration has also championed uncovering and releasing further details surrounding the Russian collusion hoax that plagued Trump's 2016 presidential win and first presidency. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard released bombshell unclassified documents in July that reportedly show overwhelming evidence that then President Barack Obama and his national security team allegedly laid the groundwork for what would be the years-long Trump-Russia collusion probe after Trump's election win against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in 2016. The implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic, Gabbard told Fox News' Maria Bartiromo in July. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office after President Trump had already gotten elected, she continued. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. Attorney General Pam Bondi directed the DOJ to act on the criminal referral Gabbard sent in July over the matter. Amid the DNI's bombshell revelations, FBI Director Kash Patel reported late in July that the FBI had recovered a trove of sensitive documents related to the origins of the Trump-Russia probe buried in multiple burn bags left in the Bureau. Burn bags are used to destroy documents designated as classified or higher, Fox Digital previously reported. Trump is expected to continue the breakneck pace of presidential actions and policies as his administration continues ironing out trade deals, negotiating with Russia to end the war, continuing to rage in Ukraine, as well as a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, and prepares for another high-stake overseas trip to the UK in September, when the royal family is expected to roll out the red carpet for Trump's unprecedented second state visit to the country. U.S. Embassy worker accused of smuggling cocaine into New York disguised as packages of cigarettes and candy. Marlboro and chocolate. A man has been charged in a scheme to smuggle cocaine into New York disguised as packages of cigarettes and candy, working at the United States Embassy in the Dominican Republic. Jairo Eleazar Arias Caceres was working as a security officer at the embassy, and prosecutors allege he operated a transnational conspiracy to smuggle cocaine into the U.S. In the scheme, which ran from at least April to December 2023, Arias Caceres is accused of helping to recruit couriers who would transport the drugs into multiple New York area airports by disguising them in the packaging of items purchased from the Santo Domingo Airport duty-free store, according to a Justice Department statement issued Wednesday. The DOJ shared photos of the drugs in the packaging of a sweet treat called Choco Pie, Marlboro cigarettes, and Gold Label Reserve alcohol. Arias Caceres also paid for and arranged the courier's travel to and from the Dominican Republic and was their main point of contact in the scheme, prosecutors allege. He was employed at the embassy from 2018 to 2025. He also worked for at least 7 years as a security officer at the Santo Domingo Airport. Prosecutors said Arias Caceres also organized the logistics of the courier's receipt of cocaine from other airport employees. He has been charged with one count of conspiracy to import narcotics into the U.S. If convicted, he faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison and a maximum sentence of life in prison. It is not yet clear if Arias Caceres has obtained legal representation. While Arias Caceres was supposed to be protecting our diplomats and embassy staff from danger, he was allegedly busy endangering New Yorkers by pumping illegal drugs into our community. Jay Clayton, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, said in a statement. Clayton continued, abuse of a position of national trust to traffic in deadly narcotics shocks the sensibilities of New Yorkers, and the women and men of our office are committed to bringing those who abuse that trust to justice. Michael McCarthy, special agent in charge of the Newark Field Office of Homeland Security Investigations, praised the work of authorities who successfully dismantled a sophisticated trafficking network. HSI remains committed to protecting the American public by targeting and disrupting the transnational criminal organizations that seek to bring illicit drugs into our communities, McCarthy added. Trump accuses Intel CEO of being highly conflicted, demands resignation as Tom Cotton highlights reporting into China ties. President Donald Trump sent a jolt through the tech industry on Thursday, demanding the immediate resignation of Intel CEO Lip Bhutan and branding him as highly conflicted. The call, issued via Trump's Truth Social platform, follows a request earlier in the week from Republican Senator Tom Cotton, to the Intel chairman, demanding answers about Tan's ties to China. The CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There is no other solution to this problem. Thank you for your attention to this problem, Trump wrote Thursday morning. Excuse me. Tan only took the helm at Intel in March 2025, and his appointment was initially welcomed by investors, with Intel stock rising as much as 15% following his start. Tan took over from Pat Gelsinger, long considered a star CEO in the chips and semiconductor space, who was reportedly forced out by the board, which had grown frustrated with Intel losing market share to NVIDIA. By late July, Tan sent a memo to employees informing them of significant ongoing layoffs and other cost-cutting measures, and shares were trading below their springtime level by that point. On Thursday, shares fell as much as 3% in pre-market trading after Trump's post. The conflict centers on Tan's financial and professional ties to Chinese companies, particularly those with links to China's military and technology sector. According to a Reuters investigation in April, Tan, either directly or via his venture funds, has invested at least $200 million in at least 20 Chinese advanced manufacturing and semiconductor firms between 2012 and 2024. The probe identified several companies with links to the Chinese People's Liberation Army. Those revelations gained new urgency after Senator Cotton sent an open letter to Intel's board, also reported by Reuters, questioning Tan's allegations and whether the company could be trusted with nearly $8 billion in federal subsidies under the CHIPS and Science Act, money designed to shore up domestic chip fabrication critical to U.S. security, finalized during the Biden administration. Cotton's letter demanded to know whether Intel had required Tan to divest any interest in Chinese technology companies or firms tied to China's Communist Party and its armed forces. The senator referenced not just Tan's investments, but also his leadership of Candice Design Systems, a major chip design company. Less than 2 weeks before Cotton's letter was issued. In late July, Candice admitted to violating export rules by providing technology to a Chinese military university and agreed to pay $140 million fine as a result. In a statement provided to Fortune, Intel said the company, the board, and Tan are deeply committed to advancing U.S. national and economic security interests and are making significant investments aligned with the President's America First agenda. Noting that Intel has been manufacturing in America for 56 years, the company said it has continued to invest billions of dollars in domestic semiconductor R&D and manufacturing, including its new chip fabricating plant in Arizona, which will run the most advanced manufacturing process technology in the country. Intel claimed it is the only company investing in leading logic process node development in the U.S. We look forward to our continued engagement with the administration. Trump's demand comes just 1 day after he announced plans to impose a 100% tariff on imported computer chips, part of his broader economic campaign against reliance on foreign, especially Chinese technology, with America's lead in chips a key tension point. Trump's comments are also stoking new leadership drama for Intel, which has already cycled through several CEOs and directors in recent years amid fierce competition from NVIDIA, AMD, and Samsung. The dust-up threatens to further destabilize Intel at a critical moment. The company, which once dominated the global chip market, has been battling to regain its competitive edge in artificial intelligence processors and advanced semiconductor manufacturing. Just days before Trump's remarks, Intel said it was separating its networking division to streamline its operations under Tan's leadership. Intel has pledged $100 billion toward U.S. chip manufacturing and packaging, with major projects in Arizona, Ohio, Oregon, and New Mexico. The company received almost $8 billion in direct CHIPS Act funding for these expansions. Companies including Micron Technology, Samsung, and Apple have also pledged large-scale investments in American manufacturing. Several former board members of Intel criticized the company's performance in a commentary for Fortune earlier this week, arguing that U.S. advanced semiconductor manufacturing has been withering for some time. The co-authors include Charlene Barshevsky, a former U.S. Trade Representative, Reed Hunt, a former chair of the Federal Communications Commission, James Plummer, a former dean of engineering at Stanford, and David Yoffie, a professor at Harvard Business School. The once leading Intel appears to be dropping out of the race. Missed deadlines, poor execution, and a misguided strategy to retain manufacturing within Intel while also serving as a foundry for its fabless chip competitors resulted in a dearth of customers. Six soldiers awarded medals for acting as gunfire erupted at Fort Stewart military base. This is one for the books. U.S. Army First Sergeant Joshua Arnold was in a conference room with one of his officers at Fort Stewart military base in Georgia on Wednesday when the crack of gunfire pierced the air. "That sounds like a gunshot. That sounds like a gunshot," he said. As he stood, it seemed like a flash went past my conference room, he told CNN. He stepped into the hallway and called out, "Was that a gunshot?" No one answered. Arnold ran down the hall, past a spent shell casing laying on the ground. Then he saw a person, one of 5 soldiers who were wounded when authorities say a 28-year-old active duty sergeant pulled out a personal weapon and opened fire. Staff Sergeant Melissa Taylor was checking her email in her office nearby, the day so far unfolding as a regular duty day would. Then she heard Arnold yelling about gunshots. She peered into the hallway and saw smoke and a wounded soldier. I immediately sprinted over to the soldier and got down on my knees and started rendering aid to the soldier, said Taylor, who served 7 years as a combat medic. Helping the wounded, neither Arnold nor Taylor saw what happened next. They told CNN's Pamela Brown. Unarmed soldiers, authorities say, also ran toward the sound of gunshots and tackled the suspect, subduing him and halting a shooting that Army Secretary Dan Driscoll said could have been much more severe were it not for their bravery. Staff Sergeant Aaron Turner, who Driscoll said was unarmed, tried to talk to the suspect before physically engaging and restraining him. As they grappled, Turner said the suspect was still trying to reload his weapon. It got to the point where the magazine ended up coming out, and by that time frame, the next one was trying to get loaded in, got loaded, but I still had physical control over it. Turner said, I was able to disarm him, drop the magazine, and eject the round. On Thursday, Driscoll praised Arnold, Taylor, Turner, and 3 other soldiers, awarding them the Meritorious Service Medal for their actions. Under duress and fire, they ran into battle to the sound of gunfire, took downed the assailant, and then took care of their comrades. And that made all the difference, Driscoll said Thursday at Fort Stewart. Turner of Farmington, New Mexico, was the first to subdue the suspect, with Master Sergeant Justin Thomas from Kingwood, Texas, helping to keep him restrained, according to the Army. Additional assistance came from Staff Sergeant Robert Pacheco and Sergeant E. Rodarte, both combat medics, base officials told CNN. In the meantime, investigators continue to probe the shooting and the alleged motive of the 28-year-old active duty sergeant, who authorities say pulled out a personal handgun and opened fire at the base. The shooting was the latest example of the epidemic of gun violence plaguing the United States, showing even a U.S. military installation filled with soldiers is not immune. Wednesday's incident is among at least 262 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. CNN and GVA define a mass shooting as one that injured or killed 4 or more people, not including the shooter. Here's what else we know about the shooting and which questions remain. On Wednesday, Brigadier General John Lubis said the Bradford's alleged motive was not known, but a law enforcement official briefed on the case told CNN Bradford had a disagreement with one of the victims on Tuesday. He followed that co-worker to a maintenance area and shot him in the chest before shooting 4 others. That's when Lubis said other soldiers prevented further casualties by tackling Bradford, allowing police to arrest him. It's unclear what the disagreement was about. Law enforcement responded at 10:56 a.m. Eastern Time, according to a Facebook post from Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. Less than 10 minutes later, the base was locked down. Emergency personnel was sent to treat the victims at 11:09 a.m., the post said. The soldiers on Wednesday handled the scene like a battle drill, said Lieutenant Colonel Mike Sanford, the commander of the 703rd Brigade Support Battalion, praising their work. They went into action and did what they needed to do, Sanford said. Whether it's here or overseas or we're in combat, they did the right thing. What we know about the suspect. Authorities did not offer substantial new details Thursday about the suspect, identified as Sergeant Cornelius Samatrio Radford, saying they would not speculate about his motives. Radford remains in custody and will likely be transferred to a military detention center, said Ryan O'Connor, Army Criminal Investigation Division Special Agent in charge. Radford joined the Army in 2018 as an automated logistical specialist and was assigned to the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, the U.S. Army said. His role involved handling supplies and warehouse operations. Radford had not deployed to a combat zone and had not known behavioral incidents had no known behavioral incidents on his military record, Lubis said. However, the general acknowledged Radford was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence in May. Radford's chain of command was unaware of the arrest prior to Wednesday's shooting, Lubis said. Radford was out on bond and scheduled to be arraigned on August 20. Taylor, the staff sergeant, told CNN she helped re-enlist the suspect a little while back, saying he had spoken with her about re-enlisting since she is a career counselor. Other than the work part of it, I do not believe that the soldier ever spoke to me about anything personal, so I did not have any kind of background history on him, Taylor said, noting Ratcliffe raised no red flags. You cannot re-enlist a soldier if there was any kind of flag in place or anything like that, so he met all the criteria at the time. The suspect's father, Eddie Radford, had not noticed unusual behavior by his son recently, he told the New York Times. He did not know what might have motivated the shooting, but said his son had complained about racism at Fort Stewart and had been seeking a transfer. The Times did not publish more specifics. Fort Stewart declined to comment on the racism allegation and whether Bradford had requested a transfer. The circumstances that led to the events today are currently under investigation, a spokesperson for the 3rd Infantry Division told CNN. The suspect used a personal handgun in Wednesday's attack, Lubis said Wednesday. The weapon is a 9mm Glock the suspect bought in Florida in May, according to the law enforcement official. The gun was recovered at the scene, along with numerous shell casings, the official said. Authorities are unsure how Bradford got the gun through the base's high security before carrying out the shooting at his place of work. Carrying personal firearms on base is typically prohibited by military regulations. The wounded soldiers have not been publicly identified, but 2 of them, both women, remain hospitalized as of Thursday morning, according to Lubis, the commander of the 3rd Infantry Division. One soldier remains as an inpatient at Wynn Army Community Hospital, right here on Fort Stewart. She is doing very well, in high spirits, Lubis said. Of course, she's got a little bit of a road to recovery. We're hopeful she may be released as early as this weekend, but that would just depend on how things heal up over the next couple of days. The other soldier, however, has a little bit longer road to recovery, Lubis said. The doctors are very positive, but I think it's going to take a bit longer to recover. What happens next? Bradford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and remains in pretrial confinement as he waits for a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel, Lubis said Wednesday. The suspect will be tried by the Army Office of Special Trial Counsel, according to a military official, an office akin to a U.S. Attorney's Office. The OSTC is reviewing the evidence and in the process of drawing up charges. Once that's done, the suspect is expected to be court-martialed, the military official said. That would be comparable to a trial. It is, however, a completely different justice system than a civilian would face, CNN analyst retired General Theodore told CNN Wednesday. Bradford, Theodore said, would be subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, under which the military has its own judges and prosecuting counsels. Soldiers accused of the most serious crimes may face a court-martial. If convicted of a serious crime, Bradford could be imprisoned at a military prison, Theodore said. President Donald Trump on Wednesday vowed the suspect would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth similarly said in a post on X, swift justice will be brought to the perpetrator and anyone else found to be involved. The times in which we are living. Heavy rain slams southern Japan, triggering floods and mudslides. A mudslide hit a house in Aria City in Kagoshima Prefecture, bearing 2 people who were rescued alive and taken to a hospital, according to the Fire and Disaster Management Agency. Torrential rain pounded the southern Japanese island of Kyushu on Friday, triggering floods and landslides and sending residents to shelters as officials issued highest level warnings in parts of the region. A mudslide hit a house in Ara City in Kagoshima Prefecture, bearing 2 people who were rescued alive and taken to a hospital, according to Fire and Disaster Management. The agency issued evacuation advisories to more than 360,000 people in Kagoshima Prefecture and neighboring Miyazaki. Australian mushroom murderer alleged served poisoned pasta to her husband. Erin Patterson, who was found guilty last month of murdering 3 of her in-laws with a meal of toxic mushrooms, also accused of trying to murder her husband. Excuse me. An Australian woman who murdered 3 of her in-laws with a meal of toxic mushrooms also allegedly tried to murder her husband using poisoned pasta, a chicken curry, and a sandwich wrap. Evidence showed Friday after a judge allowed its disclosure. A jury last month found that Erin Patterson lured her mother-in-law, Gail Patterson, father-in-law, Donald Patterson, and Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, to lunch at her home and poisoned them with servings of beef Wellington that contained death cap mushrooms. Trump ordered to broaden how colleges report admissions information. Continue with the top stories for today. President Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order Thursday that will widen requirements for colleges to report their admissions information. The order is intended to guarantee that universities turn in the information necessary to show they aren't basing any admissions on race, according to a senior White House official. The directive will allow U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon to overhaul the College of Higher Education data, deepen the federal government's reporting requirements, and increase penalties for schools that submit inaccurate information. Additionally, the order will make the integrated post-secondary education data system the main national source for information on colleges and universities, easier to access and understand. Any defiance of the directive from Trump could impede schools from receiving federal financial assistance. Trump has already pulled billions of dollars in funding from schools over admission requirements and alleged acts of prejudice. The Trump administration is announced Thursday is investigating Baltimore City Public Schools in Baltimore, Maryland, for purportedly allowing numerous incidents of anti-Semitic discrimination and harassment by teachers and non-Jewish students against Jewish students. Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights Craig Traynor said in a press release Thursday that alleged acts of anti-Semitism in the Baltimore schools include a teacher directing a Nazi salute toward a Jewish student and non-Jewish students bullying and harassing Jewish students. Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband Brandon Blackson dead at 48 after cancer battle. Brandon Blackstock, a talent manager and former husband of singer Kelly Clarkson, has died following a battle with cancer. He was 48. It's with great sadness that we share the news that Brandon Blackstock has passed away. A representative for the Blackstock family told CNN in a statement on Thursday. Brandon bravely battled cancer for more than 3 years. He passed away peacefully and was surrounded by family. The statement added, "We thank you for your thoughts and prayers and ask everyone to respect the family's privacy during this very difficult time." News came just a day after Clarkson had announced she would be pausing the rest of her Las Vegas residency, citing Blackston's health. While I normally keep my personal life private, this past year, my children's father has been ill, and at this moment, I need to be fully present for them. Clarkson wrote in a statement posted on her verified Instagram account on Wednesday night. "I'm sincerely sorry to everyone who brought tickets to the shows, and I so appreciate your grace, kindness, and understanding. The couple share a daughter, River, born in 2014, and a son, Remington, born in 2016. Blackstock was the former stepson of Reba McEntire and the son of Naval Blackstock, CEO of the Nashville-based talent management firm Starstruck, whose clients include country stars Blake Shelton and Carly Pearce. His parents divorced when he was 12. Norval Blackstock married country superstar McEntire in 1989, and she helped to raise Brandon. The elder Blackstock and McEntire split in 2015 after 26 years of marriages. Like his parents, Brandon Blackstock had a love for the music industry and began his career in talent management. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned that there was a travel advisory from the State Department at level 4. Do not travel for Haiti. So here's a little bit more on this. A new leadership is appointed in Haiti as gangs threaten to overthrow the government. The appointment of a prominent businessman to head the Transitional Presidential Council marks the first time that members of Haiti's private sector have served in both the rotating presidency and the post of prime minister. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. A wealthy businessman on Thursday became the head of Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council, tasked with restoring order in the troubled country as a top gang leader underscored the challenges facing the nation by vowing to overthrow the government. Laurent St. Cyr's appointment at the council's heavily guarded office in the capital, Port-au-Prince, where criminal gangs control 90% of the neighborhoods, marked the first time that members of Haiti's private sector serve in both the rotating presidency and the post of prime minister, two positions that share the country's executive duties. St. Cyr, in his start at a local insurance company, while Haiti's current prime minister once ran an internet firm. Our country is going through one of the greatest crises in all its history, St. Cyr said as he was sworn in. It's not the time for beautiful speeches, it's time to act. Gang leader issues a warning. Hours earlier, a powerful gang federation that has long denounced Haiti's oligarchs threatened to overthrow the government, and gunfire erupted in parts of the capital. In a video posted on social media, Viv Anasim, gang leader Jimmy Cherizet, better known as Barbecue, warns residents to give his armed group free passage through neighborhoods to reach the council's office. And finally, one of the top stories for today is Bush League. Florida law enforcement agencies are unhappy with how ICE is recruiting local officers. Armed with tens of billions of dollars in funding, Immigration and Customs Enforcement is working fervently to expand its ranks. But some of the Florida law enforcement agencies that closely partner with ICE aren't happy with the way the federal agency is going about its recruitment push, sending email blasts to local law enforcement who had been trained to work with ICE, a practice one department deemed wrong. At the end of July, hundreds, possibly thousands, of sheriff's deputies and police officers working at departments that partner with ICE received an email from the agency's deputy director, Madison Shahan, imploring them to consider joining ICE during a critical time for our nation. Your experience in state or local law enforcement brings invaluable insight and skills to this mission, qualities we need now more than ever, said the email, a copy of which was obtained by CNN. ICE is actively recruiting officers like you who are committed to serving with integrity, professionalism, and a deep sense of duty. In addition to police officers, ICE is also looking to recruit military veterans and retired ICE employees. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said on Fox News on Wednesday that ICE had removed upper age limits for applicants. Prospective employees are being offered eye-popping incentives from what is now the most well-funded federal law enforcement agency in the United States, including a recruitment bonus of $50,000 paid out in increments in exchange for 5 years of service. That's a figure that less funded local departments cannot compete with. I've seen bonuses being offered usually in about the $10,000 to $20,000 range, but certainly not $50,000, said Charles Ramsey, the former head of the Philadelphia and D.C. Metro Police Departments and a CNN contributor. The incentives come as the agency is under tremendous pressure to deliver on Trump's mass deportation campaign. While the White House has sought to ramp up immigration arrests, they continue to lag. The agency also briefly floated the idea of offering cash bonuses for employees who quickly deport immigrants, according to two sources familiar with the proposal, an offer that was first reported by the New York Times and swiftly withdrawn. Law enforcement officials who spoke with CNN said they weren't necessarily upset by the fact that ICE is attempting to recruit their officers. It's not uncommon for different agencies to try poaching from each other or for officers to seek opportunities at departments that offer better pay, incentives, or lifestyles. Rather, it was the way the agency went about it. The officers who received the email were trained through the 287G program, which allows local law enforcement agencies to partner with ICE to enforce federal immigration law, and were required to provide their emails to log into training sessions as part of the certification process. An official from one Florida county said they had not previously received email blasts from ICE and did not anticipate those emails being used to headhunt their employees. Law enforcement leaders in Florida, which has more agencies partnering with ICE through the 287G program than any other state, are especially upset. We are partnering with ICE like no other state to help ICE do its job of illegal immigration enforcement, a spokesperson for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. ICE actively tried to use our partnership to recruit our personnel is wrong, and we have expressed our concern to ICE leadership. Orange County Sheriff John Mina said in a statement he is disappointed that any law enforcement agency should use information from our partnership to try and poach our deputies, but added, "I'm not concerned." The Orange County Sheriff's Department is an exemplary agency with great pay, excellent benefits, and a multitude of opportunities available to deputies. And those opportunities keep them engaged and excited about new challenges throughout their careers. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE, said in a statement, ICE is recruiting law enforcement, veterans, and other patriots who want to serve their country and help remove gang members, child pedophiles, murderers, terrorists, and drug traffickers. This includes local law enforcement, veterans, and our 287G partners who have already been trained and have valuable law enforcement experience, said the statement, which did not address questions about criticism from law enforcement officials who described the agency's recruitment tactics as heavy-handed. ICE says their recruitment push is working. Noem said on Wednesday that the agency has received more than 80,000 applications since Trump signed his big, beautiful bill into law on July 4. ICE said on social media it has extended 1,000 tentative job offers. The agency has not said how many of those offers have been accepted. The frustration extends to some sheriffs who are closely aligned with ICE and its mission. Polk County Sheriff Brady Judd, who often speaks out about crimes committed by people in the United States illegally, and is a strong supporter of Trump's immigration crackdown, said in a video statement provided by his office that ICE is biting the hand that's feeding you. A spokesperson for Judd and hundreds of Polk County deputies received a recruitment pitch from ICE. And Judd noted that those deputies were ICE trained on Polk County's dime. It's not professional, Judd said in the video statement. It's bush league work is what it is. Ramsey, the former Philadelphia and D.C. chief, said he believes sheriffs like Judd have the right to be upset. At the time they provided their deputies emails, I imagine they didn't believe that this sort of thing was going to happen, he said. Those sheriff's officers do more than just assist ICE. They have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of duties, and of course, if you lose your personnel, your ability to perform is impacted. So I would imagine that one of the reasons they're upset, he added, it certainly would be one of the reasons I would be upset. This is not the first time that ICE or DHS has upset jurisdictions with which it partners. In late May, DHS posted a list of hundreds of so-called sanctuary jurisdictions, places that don't cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, on its website. DHS removed the list after receiving blowback from several agencies who appeared on it but said they do cooperate with federal authorities and that the list does not accurately reflect their policies. News for our times, no doubt. Headlines and top stories. This is a Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. Today is Friday, August 8th, 2025. And we still have some more summer to go. That's it. Hashtag